Hello and welcome. My name is Danielle Kinsey, and today I'm going to be teaching you about Animal Run, which is a first grade physical education activity. The objective of this activity, students will learn how to walk, jog, run, and hop at different speeds. Students will also learn how to follow instructions while participating in a group activity. Standards covered, movement concept 1.3, change speeds in response to tempos, rhythms, and signals while traveling in straight, curved, and zigzag pathways using the following locomotor movements: walking, running, leaping, hopping, jumping, galloping, sliding, and skipping. Movement concept 1.5, demonstrate the difference between slow and fast, heavy and light, and hard and soft while moving. Locomotor movement 2.4, distinguish between a jog and a run, a hop and a jump, and a gallop and a slide, and explain the key differences and similarities in those movements. Fitness concepts 3.1, participate in physical activities that are enjoyable and challenging. Aerobic capacity 3.2, participate 3 to 4 times each week for increasing periods of time in moderate to vigorous physical activities that increase breathing and heart rate. Body composition 3.7, sustain continuous movements for increasing periods of time while participating in moderate to vigorous physical activity. This activity can be modified for diversified learners. For students that can't participate in this activity, they can use a computer to make a presentation of different animals and their speeds, similar to the one that I will show prior to this activity. These students will just choose any animals they'd like and make a presentation of their own. So material needed. The only thing that's actually needed for this activity is open space to run. Also, prior to participating in this activity, it would be nice to create a PowerPoint of different animals and their speeds, but you can do this without the PowerPoint if you just talk to your students and explain to them cheetahs are fast, turtles are slow, rabbits hop, snakes slither, and you can just explain the movements, but I do find it easier if you make a PowerPoint showing animals and their movements. How to get students excited. In order to get students excited for this activity, I'm not going to tell them, let's go exercise, oh, we're going to run today. Instead, I'm going to pitch it to them as a fun activity where we all get to play. Something like, all right, guys, who's ready for PE? Today we're going to go act like our favorite animals. Who's ready to hop like a rabbit, run like a cheetah? All right, guys, let's go. Everyone line up at the door. This is just so much more appealing to students than, come on, guys, let's go run laps. Even though technically students are going to be running laps at different speeds, they don't need to know it. They just need to know that they're having a lot of fun and getting their body moving. So for this activity, I will instruct students to line up at the door in a single line. This will make setting up for the actual activity easier later on, and you don't need to pick any groups or any specific order. Students can line up however you normally have them line up. Ideal location, you definitely need a lot of room for your students to spread out, and then you need space for them to run. A gym works very well because you already have lines, so you can have a clear start and end point, but you can also use a field. So before we start any physical activity, you always want to warm up. So I'm going to have students line up next to each other with about an arm's distance between them. We will then do stretches, which I'll just count normally, 1, 2, 3, 4. We will do sit and reach, toe touch, butterfly lunges, hamstring stretch, and arm rotation. These stretches are all normal to the students because they will be doing this every day before we do physical activity. So this is not new. Lesson introduction. So I'm going to start off by saying, all right, guys, let's get started. Today we're going to act like our favorite animals. We're going to start where we're all standing, and then we're going to finish over here. At this point, I will walk over and show students where it'll end. Hopefully you will have a line or a fence or something to distinguish the end. If not, you can use cones if you have them. So in order for us all to play, I'm going to call out an animal, and then we're going to act like that. So I hope everyone was paying attention to science earlier. So if I say cheetah, you're going to run like the wind. If I say turtle, you're going to walk real slow. If I say rabbit, you're going to hop to the other side. So once you get to the other side, you're going to stop. We're all going to get there, and then I will call out the other animal, and we'll go back. So before we all start, I want to see if we have any volunteers. All right, awesome. Thank you for volunteering. So once I say an animal, guys, we're going to all call out what this animal does, and then you can show us. So I'll start with something common like cheetah. I will then ask the class, all right, guys, how does a cheetah move? And they'll respond with fast. I will then go, all right, volunteers, run as fast as you can. And they will then run to the other side. And then I'll tell them, don't forget to stop when you get to the other side. Once they are there, I will call out another animal, such as the turtle. The class will call out slow, and then the students will walk back at a slow pace like a turtle. I will then let the entire class go, but the first time I will pick an animal, and I'll say rabbit, but I'll tell them, don't go yet. I'll be like, all right, guys, so what does a rabbit do? And then I'll say jump or hop or skip, leap, whatever they say. And then I'll be like, all right, guys, perfect, jump. And then they will jump to the other side. If everyone gets it without any problems, I will then just start calling out animals, and I'll not wait for the class to call it back out. I will just say the animal and they can go. And we'll continue to do this as long as time allows. The entire activity will be guided by myself. There's no way for any independent because someone has to call it an animal. Students will continue to move from the start to finish line as many times as we can during the allotted time. There is no equipment that's needed unless you have to bring out cones. So there should be nothing you need to bring back. The teaching cues for this lesson will be fast, slow, hop, jump, run, walk. I will not use any specific assessment tools for this activity. I will explain the assessment later. And this activity will be done as one group on one field or gym or grassy area. Conclusion of this lesson, once the time is over, I will stop the students at the starting line. Instead of calling another animal, I will tell them PE is over for today. I will start to cool the students down the last few times they go back and forth by choosing animals that go slower and slower, so they have a natural cool down. I will show the students where we're going to be lining up to go back to class, but I'm going to instruct them they are not allowed to go yet. I'll tell them we're going to have a special way to get dismissed to the line today. So for dismissal, which is also the assessment, I will go in order from the person who's closest to the front of the line, and I will say their name, and I'll say Jack, for example, and I'll say turtle. And then Jack will then show me a turtle as he walks back to the line. I will then continue this with the rest of the class, Susan, Paul, and we'll do a variety of animals. I will do this as an assessment to see if they are getting how the activity works. If I say turtle and one of the students takes off running, then I know that this activity was not successful, and then we need to re-go over the PowerPoint of how the animals move, and then maybe replay this activity another day. While the students are going one by one back to the line, I will officially close this lesson. I will wrap it up by going over the keywords and phrases. I will loudly say each animal and their movement style. So as soon as Jack takes off running like a cheetah, I will say cheetahs run fast. I will continue this through the rest of the animals as we finish. In order to make sure students are understanding the language, I'm going to continue to use the same phrases over and over again. As we walk back to the classroom, I'll tell students to be excited for PE tomorrow because we are playing kickball or whatever activity you have planned for your students. Once we are back in the classroom, I will thank the kids for doing a great job. We will then move on to our next activity for the day. Conclusion, Animal Run is a really fun activity for students, and it requires pretty little preparation and no cost at all to the instructor. This lesson covers both animal science and physical education, which is beneficial to students because we really want to maximize their learning. This activity can also be expanded to older students by adding other movements such as crawling, climbing, or any other movements that you can come up with for different grades. This concludes my PowerPoint on Animal Run. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening.